Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint an autumn wreath with a little bird on it. We're going to keep it really simple tonight, and I'll show you step by step how to do it from start to finish. I've got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's been in chat during our live show tonight, so if you have questions while I'm painting, you can ask those and I'll try to answer them. Let's get started. Okay, I'm using a 10 by 20, 10 by 10 inch canvas from Fredrix. It's a Pro Series Dixie canvas, cotton. It's got nice wide sides, gallery wrapped. That just means the staples are on the back and not on the sides. So you can hang it and don't have to worry about framing it. So makes it nice. I've got a few brushes that we'll be using. I've got an Aspen number 2 inch and then a bright number 12 bright. So just a couple of large brushes for our background to do those wood slats. And then for the detail work, I've got a 6100 series. These are the long handles, the number 2 round, and then a couple of angle brushes in the VelvetTouch red handles. This is 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch. The blenders in the same sizes, and then I've got a liner, a 10-aught, and a number 2 round, and a Filbert, which I don't know that we're going to use the Filbert, but I pulled it out just in case. So I'm going to add some colors. The reference photo it was just photoshopped from Wreath, kind of a generic photo that I found on a royalty-free site, and so I kind of photoshopped the little bird into it, and then I wanted to add some other colors. So we're going to add more colors than just the orange to it, but it'll just be kind of our starting point. So thank you to, I wanted to mention thank you to Fredrix and Princeton, they're our brush and canvas sponsor, for providing our materials tonight. I need my palette there. There we go. Carbon black, burnt umber, burnt sienna, quinacridone burnt orange, a yellow oxide, cadmium yellow light, phthalo green yellow shade, cobalt teal, ultramarine blue, Quinacridone Magenta, Cadmium Red Light. This is Unbleached Titanium and Titanium White, and this is glazing liquid. So is your Stream Deck not working tonight? I updated it. It had an update, so maybe it messed up the settings. I don't know. Our program that changes camera angles and all that kind of stuff is messing up for Mark tonight. Sorry. All right. So I'm just going to spray this. We're going to work on the background first, try to get it on there. And Mark will probably have to dry it for us. So I thought about maybe pre-painting the background, but I didn't want to skip a step for you. So, all right, so I'm just wetting down this large brush here. I wet the canvas just with one like spritz all the way across it, just to give it a little bit of moisture. That'll help the paint have a little bit extra time to dry or to stay damp. The paint will blend a little bit easier and soak into the canvas better. Sorry, what I'm saying there. Okay, so our background is white, but I decided I want to add a little bit more of a wood tone to it, just some like a gray white. So, oops, I grabbed a little bit of black. Didn't mean to do that, but that's all right. So I've got burnt umber, a lot of the unbleached titanium, burnt umber, and I'm going to add blue, and that will, this is ultramarine blue, that will make it more gray. Just trying to kind of pull from the corner of that paint so I don't get it all the way through that puddle. I want to save some of that blue for later. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's a nice blue, kind of gray color. Get a little bit of that glazing medium. That'll just help it go on a little bit more smoothly. I'm going to kind of put that on quickly. And that's why I'm using this larger brush. This will just go on a little bit more fast for me and leave me a little extra time to blend it with other colors. And while that's on there, I'm going to grab some white. Streak some white. I feel like it's a little bit dark. And it will dry darker too, so just kind of keep that in mind. And I am going to make sure that I do up and down with my brush strokes, so that if I have streaks, they're going to look like it's just going to kind of save us a step, because we're going to streak this wood anyways. So this will make it already streaked. Getting those kind of corner edges, and yeah, I like that color. It's kind of a brown gray. It's not that blue is just neutralize it a little bit. Now I'm adding some streaks of white, and this paint's still wet, so it's just kind of mixing in a little bit. I'm trying not to overblend it though, because I want to leave a little bit of that color on there. If I go back and forth, it'll just kind of disappear. So I want some of those little streaks like that. And then while this is drying, I'm going to go ahead and do the sides. That will save. Hopefully it'll dry somewhat for us. Probably didn't mix enough of this color. So when you're adding more water to your paint like this to try to make it go farther, that's why I use a little bit of that glazing liquid whenever I add a bunch of water to my paint, because otherwise you can end up with a situation where your paint will not stick to your canvas very well. It's called underbind. It's not as prevalent with craft acrylics, because craft acrylics have a lot of binder in them. They're mostly binder, but heavy body acrylics like what we're using tonight will have a lot more pigment than binder, and so you're going to end up having issues if you add too much water, because then it just won't have enough binder to stick to your canvas, and that water is just basically you're washing that paint off. It'll stick a little bit, but it won't. If you put it more coats on top, it might come off. So
can you tell us which brush that is again, the size and all that?
The 2-inch Aspen from Princeton. I like it because I really like these. They sent me these to try out. I do really like them. They're kind of thin, so they're not super bulky, which some of those chip brushes tend to be kind of bulky. So you can actually get fairly good details with it for a large brush. So I kind of like that. That's pretty unique, because a lot of times the larger you get, the kind of sloppier they get. And these are fairly firm, so they're really, like, I could get a fairly, good line. We'll be using it to do some lines later. So yeah, I'm really liking them a lot. And I used it to varnish this weekend, and they did great for varnishing. They didn't, since they've got fairly soft bristles, they don't leave a lot of lines in your varnish. So that's one thing you want in a varnish brush. You need soft, firm bristles. It's kind of a oxymoron almost, You want them to be kind of soft, but also soft to the touch, so that they don't leave a lot of lines, not super textured, you know, and then strong enough, firm enough that they can push that varnish around. A lot of the brushes are too floppy. They'll be really soft, but then they're kind of just flop, and they don't do well. So I'm going to try. This is still fairly wet, so we'll see if this works. I'm not sure if it will or not. So I'm going to tap straight down, and that's going to spread those bristles out a little bit. I'm using white, tapping over the top of the, it's not spreading a whole lot, so we'll see. Not sure if this is going to work, and I'm going to hold it upright to the canvas here and just try to get it on straight. I actually kind of like that it's blending a little bit. It's a little bit softer look.
Somebody wants to know, how does it compare to a Palmer brush?
A what?
To the Palmer brush.
Palmer. Oh, I didn't. Let me see. I think if I'm. Are you talking about this little guy? This one? The red line? I really like this one. The paddle. Is that the Palmer? There is a brand, I think, called Palmer that I tried on the Brush Guy's website that I didn't really care for, that was little paddles, just because they were losing hairs and stuff. They were really floppy. So see what I'm doing here, hopefully. Just really lightly. I'm trying to keep my hand straight so that I'm going straight up and down. If there's a little wiggle, that's fine. I'm hearing music or something. What? You're trying to call Spencer?
Nathan is trying to call Spencer.
Spencer's birthday this weekend, so Nathan's our oldest coming down. I got to Skype with Liam today, and he was waving at me.
What?
Yeah, I know. I wasn't sure
All
I was
right, you're
going to
doing
tell
this
him.
on your own.
He was doing like this and waving at me and smiling at me. It was pretty awesome. I was like, Jordan, why have we not been doing this all along? So.
What's
All right.
Skyping behind my back without me here?
Yep, Skyping with Liam behind your back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know why you haven't been doing that more.
Okay. So I'm going with the brown that's just slightly darker than what we're doing here. I'm not going super dark with it. I'm trying to get this all done so I don't have to do this. In a perfect world, I would have dried it. Actually, I kind of like that it blended here. So if you do have time to do the white while it's still wet, I do like that look. It's a little bit softer. Otherwise, I would have, like, if your background dries first, then do the white after it's dried, and then dry it again before you do the steps, because this can be messy, and I'm afraid I'm going to lift off the paint, so we'll see how we do here. But I'm trying to get it done so that I don't have to have Mark do this multiple times. So I'm going to set that up there, and I'm just going to set my brush against it there with that dark brown that I just mixed. And just put the suggestion of, there we go, a board. And then we'll leave a space. I wanted to do kind of one right in the middle. So I'm trying to kind of eyeball the spacing here and really trying to get it straight if possible. I kind of feel like I'm off a little bit. We'll see. That top looks like it's curving into me. There we go. more. And one more. Good. Okay. So, and if you get any little spots, I'm just going to kind of use this color and lightly, very, very lightly, just kind of go over and add some of it. Like, you see how it's dragging, adding a little bit of that on our boards. Okay, that's all I'm going to do. Just very, very kind of suggestive of boards, nothing too fancy. Thank you, honey. Can you take that? Oh, well, no. I'll do it. Okay. Just rinse it out a little bit. Don't worry about cleaning it out real good, though. All right. So our wreath itself, I decided that, like I said, we're going to do some berries. The bird, let's draw him out. Well, I'm going to have to draw him again. There's our boots from Saturday's video. I don't have him handy or I'd pull him out, but he was really fun to do the little boots with the flowers in them. And I use a watercolor pencil when I'm working on my canvases so that they can erase really easily, or you can use like school chalk or something like that if I'm working on a larger canvas, but smaller details you really kind of require having a smaller pencil. So our wreath, what we're going to do is we're going to just have some kind of loose branches coming in and around and some trailing off. I don't know if you can see that. Get up. I don't have to have the watercolor pencils for this. I don't know why I'm using that. So we're gonna just wiggle and do little squigglies for our wreath. You can kind of see how we're doing. We're gonna do the same thing with our brush. And then the little bird is gonna fit right in here, and his little body is going to be kind of a teardrop shape, or kind of an oval, almost like an egg shape, but a little bit wider at the top. And he's looking off this way, so his head is kind of like that. And then there's a little beak right here, right up under his chin. And then his eye on birds are usually just right in line with that beak. And then he's got a little mask and little chest feathers, and I think I made his head a little bit too small there, but you get the idea. And then his little tail's gonna come out like that. Wing, chest, large V right here. And then his eyes right there. Get it? Okay. And there's the legs. So we're just going to kind of give him a branch to set on. And he'll be really easy. It's pretty simple shapes. So, all right. This is the sun conure we're working on in the $10 Facebook group. We are, and then this was our bonus video on Sunday. We did this little guy. So that was for the $5 level, folks. That was a long video. I think it went 5 hours, maybe longer. I know it was 3 sessions and they go 2 hours each, but it wasn't a full third session. So, all right, so here's our thing here. You saw what we did with our Wreath. So I'm just going to kind of map out sort of the general shape, and I'm just using chalk here just to give myself a rough outline of where I want the main stuff to be. And this bottom area is going to have a little bit more stuff going on. But and if you wanted to do it on a larger canvas, I think that would look really nice. I think, yeah, that's good, I think. All right, and then our little bird's going to go right in here. I'm just going to leave myself a little bit of room for him. I think I put his head up a little bit high on that drawing. It's kind of smushed down into the body almost. Kind of like that little circle on top is just kind of smushed down in on top of that oval that we had. And there's a little tail. Okay. So we kind of know generally where we're going to put our bird, and you could make them a lot larger if you wanted to. For the main part of the wreath, and this is going to go really fast. These are really fun to do. If you watched me do the straw if you watched our video on Saturday, where is that video? Or where was that painting?
Over there.
Okay. The straw is going to be, the wreath is going to be done very similar to how we did the straw. So if you have one of the, seeing that, all these little twigs and things, if you have one of these brushes, the dagger stripers, that actually, they work really well for this. I'm going to use the angle brush today just because it's similar, just doesn't have the rounded edge that the dagger striper has. But I'm making kind of some browns here with burnt umber, get some burnt sienna out, unbleached titanium to lighten them up, and then get some yellow oxide out. So I'll have kind of a warm regular brown, a more reddish brown, and then a yellowish brown. Adding the burnt umber to all three of them. And I can even add a little bit of black over here with a little bit of blue for kind of a gray brown for some of our darker tones. Okay, so we'll start with the darker one because that'll be kind of the underneath color. And just like we sketched it, I'm just going to scribble, holding the brush right on the end. And don't overthink it. Just kind of load it up fairly thickly. You can see how kind of much paint I have. I have the paint thick back here, though. It's not thick on the tip. The tip is a straight line. If you have so much paint that your brush is kind of doing like that on the end, then you're not going to get a straight line. So you need to press it flat so that you get a straight line here, and that way you'll get these thin lines. The way the brush looks on the end of it here is the way it'll look on your canvas. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. Super fun. Very like low stress, just let it happen. Try not to repeat your brush strokes, so try not to like get into the pattern. It's kind of easy to do, easier said than done not to repeat, because when you get going here, you kind of lose track sometimes and you end up doing the same brush stroke over and over again. So try to avoid that if you can, so that you end up getting kind of this random look. Some of them are going to put in kind of thicker than others. So sometimes I'm going to press down a little bit harder. Let's get some yellow going on. And you see what I'm doing? I'm kind of weaving them in and out. I'm always kind of aware of my overall shape. That's kind of why I chalked it out for myself, so that I had kind of some boundaries to work in. So I knew kind of where to stop, because otherwise I might get, off one side. Although on this one, it doesn't matter because we're actually intentionally kind of going off the one side. And then I want some little bits for my flowers and things to hang off of. So I want some smaller little almost like stems for some of the flowers. So be sure that you're doing some of that every now and then. Just kind of flick in some little lines for some of our flower buds to hang off of. And then there's kind of some that go in and out, way outside the boundaries. Getting really much here, but I think that's good. Kind of what?
The obligatory loud car.
Yeah. We need a soundproof booth to film in, I guess. And I'm thickening it up a little bit from the photograph. It's real thin on the top on our photo, so I'm kind of evening out the thickness just a little bit. But you can, if you don't like that, you can leave it, thinner on the top here. So just whatever you want to do. Your wreath, your rules. And let's get some green now. I'm going to add that to my browns here. I'm going to spray this to give it some... Oops, I just got green all over. I got paint all over my shirt. When did I do that? Oh, I think that's old paint. That's new paint. All right, let's get this out of the way. I wore this out in public today too, but I had a sweater on because it was cold, so I don't think anybody saw my paint. I forgot that I had paint on it. So I'm wanting to use a green, but I don't want it to be super bright green because this is autumn. The leaves have turned, so they're kind of crusty, and it's a more muted green here. So I'm just going to go through and just do some random leaf shapes in here, and not overdo the green because I don't want it to be a green wreath, but I do want some leaves in here. With that leaf. And do some little dabs. Some little dots. How's it going with chat?
Well, it's going good. Normal hellos, food talk.
Nice.
Questions about your sprayer. I've become smart and took some screenshots from the Amazon store, so when people ask, I can just look at my photos and find
Smart.
the information instead of having to go. It only took me about 3 or 4 months to figure that out.
Oh, yeah. I knew you were smart.
I'm slow.
You're all right. Gonna get some of the yellow, a little bit of brown here, and do a line, just kind of do some yellow, kind of yellowish. Noticing I don't have a lot of that color in here, so just adding a little bit of that. Really fun. All right. Now let's get my liner brush out. A lot of people are intimidated by a liner brush, but I think if you the one thing that people don't realize about the liner brush is that you need a lot of water. So I think that people have had bad experiences with liner brushes because they haven't added enough water to their paint. You have to have your paint thinned down to like a milk consistency. It has to be really thin. So adding that glazing liquid again, because we don't want it to underbind to our canvas, and lots of water. So if you add some glazing liquid, you don't have to, probably 50-50 to water, then you don't have to worry about it underbinding. It'll stick. The glazing liquid will make it a little bit thicker. It's not as thin as water. So if you have something like an airbrush medium, that'll even be better. But not a lot of people have an airbrush medium hanging around the house. So, and it's, pretty specific to that, just mixing as water. So I prefer the glazing liquid. So I'm just going to hold it on the end here and just let the tip of my brush wiggle. If you want a little bit more control, you can kind of hold it up a little bit closer. And I'm just wiggling this. You can totally leave this part out. If it stresses you out, don't do it. This is supposed to be fun, so don't. But if you want a little extra challenge and a little bit more detail, we can do this little details with our little liner brush. And with the liner brush, you want to lead your brush. So you don't want to push up against it this way. You want the tail of that brush kind of upright so that you can control where it's going. And this is even almost not thin enough. Okay, there we go. That's good enough. I think maybe one more over here. Okay. Just add some little extra detail. And you can see it in our reference photo. I don't know if you can see it, but if you look closely, there's these little squiggly lines in there. So I just wanted to add those. All right. Let's grab the angle brush. I'm trying to go fairly fast today. This is a pretty easy one, I think. So I don't think it's going to take a whole lot of time for us. So I'm going to grab some of the Quinacridone burnt orange. If you don't have it, just use burnt sienna and maybe add a little bit of Quinacridone Magenta to it. But this is going to make a nice pretty orange for us. I'm going to add some yellow oxide. Quinacridone burnt orange, a little bit of cadmium red medium to make it orangey. And yellow oxide to make it more neutral. And there we go. We got a little kind of a burnt orange color here. I've added white. Excuse me. And I'm just going to make some little crusty like flowers clusters. So not the flowers in this wreath are dried, so they're all kind of withered. They're not really, there's not a lot of detail in them, so I don't need to. I'm really just kind of poking almost straight down with my brush here. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to do a bunch of colors, so we're not just going to do that one. But if you have one color that you want, or you could even just do all browns. I mean, I think it would be really lovely with just browns, or if you want something more neutral, you could even do it with black and white, like grays, and just change up your, tones of your grays. So if you want it more neutral, that's really easy to do. Like get some of the magenta. I'm going to get some cadmium yellow light here. That's going to make a brighter orange. Really pretty. And then add a little bit of the cadmium red light. So now we'll have kind of a bright orange. You can see the difference there. Just creating a different color here, and this is closer to the reference photo color. So I'm gonna put some of those in. Little scrunched up dried flowers. And I'm putting this in more places a little bit, where it's kind of more of our kind of main color. I didn't want to cover up the end of that one. I liked the look at that. There we go. This is where you can, if you kind of made a mistake on your wreath and you got some, you know, some colors out where you didn't want to, or, you know, your branch got a little thick somewhere, or your, something happened, you know, this is where you can kind of fix it. It's pretty easy to just dab some color over the top and it'll camouflage it.
I'm going to zoom in a little bit on the flower dot so people can see their shapes and sizes and stuff better.
Ooh, that's really close. All right, so then I think I'm going to do some berries. So I'm going to use the Quinacridone Magenta for them. That's why I got that out. I'm going to use a little bit of the Ultramarine Blue and create kind of a purpley color. And then I'm going to add the burnt orange to tone it down a little bit. Make it more of a neutral magenta, like a burgundy color almost, wine. And I'm just going to dot and create some little berries. So I'm just dabbing. If you touch straight down with your brush, you can create a dot with this brush. So I'm just going to dab, create some dots, and cluster them together. So I've got little berries here and there. And these are going to look kind of dark at first, but we're going to add highlights to them. So they'll look dark at first. That's normal. That's all right. And kind of oval shaped, so not round. Although the ones that are pointing straight at us might be round, but these are kind of oval. So I'm gonna try to match that outline. Kind of cluster them 2 or 3 together. So let's do. There's 3 there. There's one single there. Let's do another one. Yeah, I don't know. That might be enough. 1, 2, 3. Let's do another one. Let's do another one right here. Okay. And then let's do some purpley blue. So get a little bit like more of the ultramarine blue, a little bit of the Quinacridone Magenta to make it more purple. And then we'll use brown to tone it all down so it's not so in your face purple. We want it kind of a neutrally blue color. That brown we're adding brown to everything just about, and that just kind of keeps everything kind of a little bit flattened. That's that autumn feel, you know, gives us that autumn feel. And then we'll use this. Oh, this is going to be pretty. And just kind of do some little clusters of kind of a little bit more kind of spiky, kind of little, you know, like little delphiniums, how they do. Maybe.
Somebody wants to know, what were the colors for the burgundy berries?
It was Quinacridone Magenta, a little bit of Ultramarine Blue to make it more purple, and then the Quinacridone Burnt Orange. That really this color kind of ties it all together a little bit. And we're not using any new colors, so I'm not introducing a new blue. This is the same blue that we used on the background gray and in the leaves. Well, no, we used phthalo green for the leaves, but for the purple berries. So I'm using all these colors multiple times if possible, and that will make it look more unified. Okay, so before this color dries, I'm going to get a little bit more yellow and a lot more white. And I'm going to go back over some of these areas now and add some highlights to my orange flowers. And I'm really honestly just dabbing. You can see I'm not putting any thought into just kind of finding those areas and dabbing. And I'm not going to do it as often with this color, so I want to leave a lot of that, more of the background showing than the highlights, so that way you don't have overdo it. I like this. This is really turned out really pretty. I do say so myself. So I'm going to use a little bit of Cobalt Teal with that purpley blue that we just mixed up. So yeah, a little bit of white. Cobalt Teal is in our phthalo green, so we've already got this color going on. I'm going to be really selective about this one though, because this one is a little bit brighter, but it'll kind of freshen it up a little bit. So this is going to be a color that's kind of hiding in the background, but it's in there, but it's not the focal point.
Is that my phone?
Yeah. Maybe it's mine. Could be mine. I didn't mute mine actually, so it's probably mine. Sorry, I blamed your phone. All right, so I'm going to do some ultramarine blue with white for the highlights on these flowers. And if you feel like you want to give them a little bit of structure, you can give them some flower petals. But like I said, these are kind of dried out. They're not fresh flowers, so dried flowers wither, their petals wither, as they dry, and so you're not going to have the structure of a regular flower. They're going to look different. So this is pretty. I like it. Okay, so let's add just some highlights to our berries, and then I don't think I need any. When I loaded my brush up with this color, I had quite a bit of both colors on there. You can see I have kind of lights and darks from both, so I don't think I need to go back on those at all, but I do want some highlights on my berries. So the berries are going to be mostly, I'll go ahead and grab some of that blue color and my Quinacridone Magenta and my white, pretty mauve, and I'm going to also mix up some red while I'm at it. So mix up the Quinacridone Magenta and Cadmium Red Light and have that in there. I actually think I'm going to use that color. It looks a little bit more berry-ish. And this time I'm going to be a little bit more careful where I dab, because I want to create that berry shape-ish for our berries. So I'm just trying to dab in circles inside of our already created little berries. Little highlights, and trying to kind of, if I can, touch the same spots that I touched before. If you get it outside the lines, that's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I do want to go in though with a little bit of really bright, and then touch just the very tip on a few, not all of them, just a few. Maybe say 5, maybe 3 on some, 5 on others. And just going back over, but barely touching down to give little highlights to some of those berries. Oh, you're so cute. I kind of wish I did more, but you don't want to overdo the bright, then you're just going to end up, I have to tone myself down, like rein myself in, rein it in. I want to cover everything with flowers. It's hard. It's really hard to be me sometimes. The struggle is real. All right, so I'm going to load up white with some of the Unbleached Titanium. And we're going to do some little white fuzzy flowers. So just fuzzes. I'm going to set the brush down and kind of just fuzz it out in all directions. So there's all these little fuzzies in our and this is where you can really kind of, if you made any mistakes or you have something that you didn't really like about your flowers, or you just have too much of something, too much of a good thing going on in one of the areas, and you can kind of fix it. This is our fixer here. Really pretty. Okay, that's about all we're going to do with the flowers. Let's do our little bird and we'll be done. It's coming together really fast tonight. If you like these kind of little simple wreaths, let me know in the comments. I've done a couple other wreath videos. A couple of years ago, I did one very similar to this with red berries for Christmas. And then we did one a couple of years ago in the fall that was for, it had a thankful, it was eucalyptus berries. So if you like the wreath series and want to see more, let me know, because I sure do enjoy painting them. But if you're not into it, I also want to know that too. So just be nice about it. Boy, I had somebody got super mad at me about traceables the other night. No. I had it for lunch. So. Yeah, no, I don't really. Come up with something else. Am I on or not?
You're on.
I'm on? Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I thought you said I was not. Okay.
It's about your story.
I don't know.
About your traceable.
Oh, it probably doesn't even.
No, this is good.
Yeah. I don't have the email on me, or it's on my phone, but.
At least there's nice people in the world like that help you through these times.
Right, help me know what a terrible teacher I am and how I'm ruining the art world by providing free art lessons that are easy. Like they were so offended that it was easy.
You are single-handedly destroying what Van Gogh and Monet worked so hard to create.
Oh my gosh.
History will recall that it was at this point that art died because of your tutorials and suggesting people use traceables.
If they can't draw, if they want to learn just to paint and
and enjoy themselves.
Right. How dare they? How dare they?
There shall be no joy in this world. Right,
exactly. Art is for the elite. You must be talented to be able to do it. And if you're not innately talented, born with it, then too bad for you. No art for you. Yeah. I was like, seriously? Oh my gosh. I just went, delete. Block. You got the band hammer. banhammer on you. Thankfully, YouTube lets you block people like that, because she went through and commented on several videos about...
It's kind of like that Black Keys video that they did.
Yes. What was it? I'm trying to think.
Something about you play drums because you can't play guitar.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what was it?
But anyways.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going back through here and brightening up some of these whites. I think a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know, some people have rough lives that they feel like they have to. I don't know. I don't understand it, but whatever makes you happy, I guess.
Yeah.
If it makes you happy to tear other people down, well, you're probably a sad person.
Well, they were probably high-fiving themselves.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Yes. That's smart too. Okay. Little bitty beak. You want to zoom in here? He's got a little tiny beak. Here. I'm trying to... you can see how much I'm editing. I do this. This is how I do. I don't really take a lot of time in my drawing a lot of times. What I do is I edit on the canvas. For some reason in my brain, it's just easier for me to see what is happening when I have the paint on the canvas. So I can kind of adjust as I go. But there we go. I think I got a little bit far out there. Get a little bit of the black and just going in right up underneath, putting my shadow in. Right there. And then a little bit of white on the very tip. And I've switched to number 2 round here. I didn't mention that, I don't think, but there's our little beak. Really cute. I feel like he's kind of frowning right here, so I'm going to kind of touch that up right there. It should be kind of a V shape right in there. Let me get some more white. But actually on this one, you're not seeing much of a V. But the beak, the shape is kind of a V right there. So I might bring it up just slightly right there. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and put in the gray around his eye. It's just easier than to try to outline that black. And then we'll paint the black eye in the middle of that. I think that's far enough over. Maybe a little bit farther over. Try to get that black right in the middle. This is by far the hardest part. So feel free to simplify. Feel free to leave out the bird if it stresses you out. I've got a ton of bird tutorials. So, and some of them are a lot easier than this. The only reason he's difficult is because he's small. So, and I have one that we did last Christmas that were little bluebirds that were basically blue fluff balls. It was just basically blue paint that was tapped in, tap in a big old round circle. So if you want to do that, I think that would be a way easier way of adding your little bird and still getting the same effect. You just have a little bluebird instead of a whatever this one is. He kind of looks like a chickadee, but I don't think he is. He's got. I'm adding a little bit of dark gray to the top and to the wing. Going back over with the black. All right, and then his little body is yellow. So I'm going to use that cadmium yellow light. And what color do I want to use? I think I'm going to use black. Black with the yellow creates a green.
So somebody's asked if you have any tips for painting birds. Like any little things that you should know or remember, or do you just wing it when you do it?
Need a top hat for you. Symbols. No, I meant, the symbols. Isn't that what that's called? Top hat. Close enough. Close. Top hat, hi-hat. Yeah, you know what I meant. Tomato. That was pretty funny. If I'm doing a larger bird, I would say be sure I would be paying really close attention to the direction of the feathers. So as I'm putting this on, I would make sure that any brush strokes that I have going on are going to be following the direction of, I think that came out too far. It's probably closer down in here. Following the direction of the feathers when I'm, filling him in. So in that way, just like, with everything else with these painting, we're just kind of trying to save ourselves some steps. So, you don't want to have to redo everything. So especially like right here, the head, the feathers come up over, they come almost straight up and down right here. They come up over this way. And then when it hits the eye, they kind of come down this way. So they kind of part around the eye and kind of do like this around the eye. And then actually right under the beak, they come straight down right along that neck area. So they pretty quickly go from this way to this way, right up underneath, in a couple brush strokes. So I always do the ones that are underneath first. So in this case, if these ones over here by the beak and the face are going to be on top. So I would start back here and start layering back here and back and then work my way towards the ones on top. In this case, we're not worried about layering because we're not seeing any of those individual feathers, so I'm not doing any of that. I'm just throwing the paint on there and calling it good. For the most part, I'm trying to get it in the right places and all that, but I'm going to use a little bit of yellow oxide, even though this bird is a little bit brighter than that in our photograph, but we don't have any more of that super bright yellow anywhere, and so I think I can kind of get away with just sort of toning down that yellow just a little bit. I just feel like he'll kind of blend with the whole overall painting a little bit better if I do that. And then what I can do is use this color in a couple other places on my painting, and that's another way of kind of unifying it and making it all kind of work together. Getting some white here and doing some white. There we go. Oh, he's cute. Sorry, I had to say that. Okay, let me see. I'm trying to see. Let's just do kind of some little fluffy, almost like dandelion type of fluffy yellows. It's just this color. It's actually not too far off from what we've already used, so I don't feel like I'm having to do as many as I thought I might. That looks pretty good. And then we can't forget his feet. I always seem to try to forget the feet, don't I? So let's not do that. We'll give him some feet to set on. We can bring them out just a little bit more right there. Yeah, so get that black. Isn't that a pretty green though? That creates with, that was just black and yellow. But the reason that happens is, and I was talking about this with my other group the other day, that black has a lot of blue in it. So I don't remember when I was talking about that. Was I talking about that with you? Or was it? I think it might have been with a Facebook group. Anyhow, black has a lot of blue in it, and so blue undertones. And so when you add yellow, yellow and blue make green. So when you add black to yellow, you get a green. Little known fact. All right, so the foot's going to start right up underneath the rump here. Come forward there and right here. And then we'll just have him holding on to this branch here. And just do some little circles at the end of his face. There, and get some white. There's some highlight on top of the little knuckles on top of the leg. All right, let me that foot kind of disappeared, didn't it, when I put that highlight on there. Get a little bit more. They come down at a weird angle. The feet, they come down this way and then they come out this way. So you may have to, I'm going to get some white here. Add a little bit of white too. That wing area right there. Okay, and this is what I do. I overcomplicate it. It was fine. A little bit darker right there.
Okay, somebody said that your black and yellow reference was during the Sunday video.
Ah, okay. That's good.
But I don't remember it, so I wasn't paying attention.
Mm-hmm. Not surprised.
Sometimes I do that.
Mm-hmm. I could hardly get you to talk to me on Saturday.
What?
You were having so much fun chatting up with everybody. Chatting it up. Oops, and the lighter yellow here, just kind of adding a little bit more of it. Cute. Okay, go ahead and zoom out there. And this is dry enough now. I can kind of take my wet towel here and wipe off. Oh, he's so cute. Love it. Now, now that we've got it done, what I'm noticing is there's a lot of black right here and none anywhere else. So I'm going to use this black and maybe add some brown to it so it's not black. But I feel like we need some in a few places. So I'm going to kind of try to strategically introduce a little bit of black. It's kind of hard to do at this point. So if you're watching this and you're going to paint it later, just add black to your, add black to your thing. Strategery. You don't want to. There we go. Now it's not so in your face. Only place that black is showing up. Okay, and I do want to let's add some of that yellow green too. So let's mix up some more of that green that we used on his body. And let's add some of that to our greens. It's actually pretty close to what we already used, isn't it? There we go.
So which size brush were you using for the bird?
I was using a number 2 round and a 1/4 inch angle brush.
Okay. And I think you said something like this at the beginning, that you can make these colors just about anything you want, right?
Right,
You
right.
can put whatever numbers or colors or
Absolutely.
themes.
Yeah, this can be easily adapted to whatever colors you want. If this is like way too colorful, you can, you know, make it more muted. Whatever floats your boat. And I'm going to use that
Water does.
color. I'm going to add some little teeny tiny green dots. Like little seeds, seed pods or something. I don't know. Who knows? Just notice that there are some of those kind of hanging off in some places in our reference photo.
So water on your wreath on the bottom.
Yeah, thank you. That would have been bad if it was over the top of a wet area, but since it was dry down here, it won't hurt anything. But yeah, if that had been wet, it would have been a bad thing. Definitely no good. So I'm gonna do some down here. And I think we're going to end with some splatters. Just because. Why not, right? I'm going to do some burnt umber, but I'm going to go a little bit lighter. Maybe add a little bit of the unbleached titanium to it to soften up the color a little bit. Lots of water. So this is, again, add a little bit of the glazing liquid. A lot of water, just like our liner brush. We gotta have water for the splatters to work. A lot of people that have trouble with splatters, I think they're not adding enough water. Either too much or too little. So test it on your palette. If you get huge water droplets, then you have too much water. There we go. Ooh.
So again, they don't have to add splatters if they don't want to.
Right, if they don't like the look. But
They can be wrong if they want to be. That's fine. I mean, we'll still like them.
you can be like the art police lady. That's okay.
Yeah.
I won't ban you from the channel like I did with her. Or him. I don't know. Who knows? Could have been a guy, I guess. All right. I like the splatters. It added a lot. Super fun. Hope you liked it. I feel like it's a little squared off right here. So what I'm going to do is just going to add a little roundness right there. Just bring it out. There. Boom. Right round. Yep. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you do paint it, you can share it with me on social media. I have all of my links down in the description, as well as the links to the brush guides where you can buy your brushes, and Amazon where you can buy all the rest of the supplies. And that I used here, I've got an Amazon store called Acrylic Painting Supplies that, okay, I'm just going to I don't want to move it. I just want to dab. There we go. Just softens it up a little bit. Let's use my pen here, the Sakura. It's got this pen in there if you want to check that out. It's in there. Sakura Pigma FB. There we go. Oh, super cute. All right, guys, have a great rest of your week. We will be back on Saturday with another video if you're part of my $10 crew, or if you want to get in on the $10 video that we're doing this one. We're only 1 week in, so you haven't missed much. We're going to be doing that on Thursday. So we work on those on Thursdays all month long, except for the last week of the month, because it is Thanksgiving. So we won't be working that day, but the rest of the month, 2 more weeks, we'll be finishing that up, hopefully. And yeah, we'll be back Saturday with, what are we painting on Saturday?
The Autumn Path.
Autumn Path. Oh, yeah. That was the #1 video I posted in my Facebook group. They've voted on the ones that they wanted to see this month, and that was the one that they picked. So looking forward to that. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching with us. Bye.